Thanks for joining us on another episode of FI Spotlight. I'm your host, 𝗏𝗏𝘁. This week, we're going to be talking about regenerative poultry farming, what the benefits are for the land, the chickens, and even the benefits to impact climate change as well. So, for the answer to all of these questions and more, I'd like to bring in our guest for this week, Paul Greive. He is the founder of Pasturebird. Paul, it's great to see you today.
Good to see you too, Brittany. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk.
So, could you tell us about Pasturebird and why you chose regenerative poultry farming?
Yeah, Pasturebird operates on a actually pretty simple premise that animals can be really positive for the land. Growing up as a kid in Seattle, all I ever really heard is that if you care about the climate, you should eat less meat. And it never actually struck me until much later that actually there's a way that we can raise animals that's in line with nature, that's very beneficial for soil health, animal welfare, nutrient density of the food. So in about 2012, my family launched on this journey, and now we're the largest pasture poultry company in the country. So been a lot of growth and a lot of fun getting to know this space.
And now I noticed the price point for Pasturebird's products is slightly higher than the average cost of chicken. So could you tell us who your target demographic is and how folks can get a hold of the product?
Yeah, there's a few things that drive that. It's not cheaper to raise animals outside on pasture. The growth slows down a little bit. It also costs us a lot to build these mobile coops. Everything else in the industry is a stationary style housing system, but since ours move every single day, that's really what unlocks that magic where the birds are foraging, eating the bugs and worms and grasses and seeds in a still protected environment. So the target market is really about making this type of chicken more accessible and more affordable. You can find pasture raised chicken across the country, oftentimes in farmers markets, ranging from 5 times more expensive to 3 times more expensive. We're trying to close that gap. So even though we're not as cheap as kind of your cheapest chicken, we come in at a really healthy price point, and you can feed a family of four, family of six for under $15 with one of our whole birds, and that's something that's really important to us.
There are other regenerative farms out there ranging from, vegetables all the way up to cattle. So in regard to your regenerative poultry, what makes Pasturebird stand out from the other regenerative poultry farms out there?
Yeah, I spoke to the way that the coops move. That's really, really important. So we always say there's a reason God gave plants roots and animals legs. It's because animals in nature are really meant to move around all the time. That what happens then is they eat the grass, they poop on the ground, which fertilizes the ground, the best, healthiest natural fertilizer in the world, and then they move to a next spot constantly. There's lots of other farms doing mobile pasture raised systems. We're one of about 1,000 in the country, but we really took it up to that next level with scale. So we built a large autonomous coop. So we use solar power, 100% solar power to drive these coops by themselves to a fresh place every single day. We've also partnered with the largest organic chicken producer in the country, Purdue Farms, to help some of those economies of scale, like the hatchery, where the birds come from, logistics, transportation, packaging. And it really helps us differentiate ourselves in that we're available in grocery, fresh, and also coming in at a price point that I think people can handle.
With the regenerative movement gaining steam across a variety of sectors in the food and beverage industry, if we look at farmers who are currently using the traditional method of farming and they're interested in pivoting to regenerative methods, what would be some of the challenges that they would be facing?
It depends on who you're talking about. In the animal space, it can be really, really difficult. And we actually consider ourselves blessed to be first generation farmers because we didn't have any of that old infrastructure, equipment, mindset. It was very easy for us actually to start out regenerative. We'd never done anything but regenerative. Um, it's really hard for people that want to make a change that have millions and millions of dollars invested in traditional infrastructure, stationary style infrastructure. But there are things that can be done. So the way that the feed is grown, even feeding a stationary style house, the way that the manure is actually taken out of that house and applied onto fields, there's lots of things you can do. So regenerative, really think about it less as a yes or no, but a gray scale where you can do a little bit of regenerative, you can do a lot of regenerative. There's not sort of like a pass or fail. That's something that I think is really positive about this movement, though.
And what is Pasturebird's overall goal? Are you looking to stay in the local market, expand nationally? Where do you see Pasturebird in 5, 10 years from now?
No, almost the opposite. So for years, we had a small local company right out here in San Diego, really servicing that California market, which is a great market. It was a great place to start the business, but we really felt like there was a gap in the market between small farmers market pasture raised and then the national poultry companies. And we thought, all right, there's a lane for us here to be a national pasture raised poultry company. So when we teamed up with Purdue in 2019, that was really exciting because it gave us the ability to leverage a lot of their infrastructure, their knowledge, their resources, and it's a company that just brings a lot of integrity to the space. So we'd really like to build this into a national scale pasture poultry business.
Paul Greive, founder of Pasturebird. Thank you so much for your insights today.
Thanks for having me, Brittany. Talk to you soon.
And as always, you can check out more of our great content by clicking on this playlist. Until next time, I'm Brittany Borer with the Food Institute.